Beneath the tranquil landscapes of the Pacific Northwest lies a chain of sleeping giants, magnificent snow-covered volcanoes that have shaped this land for thousands of years and could one day reshape it again. Stretching from Northern California all the way to British Columbia, the Cascade Range is home to some of the most potentially dangerous volcanoes in North America. Towering over bustling cities like Seattle and Portland, these silent peaks may appear calm, but in geology, silence is never a promise of safety. In 1980, Mount St. Helens shattered that illusion, erupting with the power of several hundred atomic bombs, flattening forests, darkening skies, and shocking the world. And that was just one volcano. More than a dozen others still slumber nearby, showing subtle hints of activity, swarms of small earthquakes, slight ground deformation, and faint gas emissions whispering from hidden vents. Could this be the beginning of something bigger? Are the Cascade volcanoes stirring once again? Let's uncover the truth. Don't forget to hit subscribe and like the video. It's the best way to support the channel. The Cascade volcanoes exist because of an extraordinary process happening deep below the Earth's crust. Off the western coast of North America, the Juan de Fuca plate is steadily sliding beneath the North American plate in what's known as a subduction zone. As the oceanic plate sinks into the mantle, it heats up and releases water and gases, lowering the melting point of surrounding rock and creating magma. This molten rock rises through the crust to form the volcanoes of the Cascade Arc, a line of fire stretching over 700 miles, creating more than a dozen major peaks and countless smaller cones and fissures. Notable summits include Mount Shasta and Lassen Peak in California, Mount Hood and the Three Sisters in Oregon, Mount St. Helens, Mount Rainier, and Mount Baker in Washington, and Mount Garibaldi in British Columbia. These volcanoes are mostly stratovolcanoes, steep, cone-shaped mountains built from layers of lava, ash, and pyroclastic material. Unlike Hawaii's gentle shield volcanoes, stratovolcanoes are known for violent, explosive eruptions caused by thick, gas-rich magma that builds up immense pressure before bursting free. Combined with the region's dense population and limited awareness, this makes the Cascades one of the most hazardous volcanic zones on the planet. The Cascades have a dramatic past, long periods of quiet punctuated by eruptions that rewrite landscapes. The most infamous event occurred on May 18, 1980, when Mount St. Helens erupted catastrophically after 2 months of tremors and swelling. A massive landslide, the largest in recorded history, triggered a lateral blast that devastated 230 square miles of forest. Ash rose 80,000 feet into the sky, grounding plains and dusting states as far away as Oklahoma. The blast unleashed energy equal to 24 megatons of TNT, hundreds of times more powerful than Hiroshima. Despite evacuations, 57 lives were lost and damages soared into the billions. Then in 2004, after nearly 2 decades of calm, Mount St. Helens awakened again, producing a slow but steady dome-building eruption that lasted more than 3 years. Though far less violent, it reminded scientists that this volcano, and others nearby, are far from dormant. Mount Rainier, the tallest Cascade peak, has erupted many times over the last 10,000 years, with its last major episode around a millennium ago. Mount Hood erupted in the late 1700s, while Mount Shasta has been active multiple times over the past 4,000 years. And Mount Mazama's colossal eruption, roughly 7,700 years ago, formed Crater Lake, leaving a legacy of ash across the region. These events prove that while the Cascades may appear peaceful, they are only resting, not extinct. Recent activity and scientific concerns. In recent years, subtle seismic activity has been recorded beneath several Cascade volcanoes, sparking scientific attention. Early in 2025, a cluster of small earthquakes, all under magnitude 2.0, rattled beneath Mount Adams. Though imperceptible at the surface, they drew close observation from the U.S. Geological Survey and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. Mount St. Helens continues to show minor tremors, while Mount Rainier and Mount Hood occasionally experience similar quakes. For now, these are considered routine, But volcanic behavior can shift quickly, often without much warning. Despite their calm appearance, geologists agree that another Cascade eruption is not a question of if, but when. Subduction beneath the region constantly generates magma, feeding more than a dozen active volcanoes. Among them, Mount Rainier poses the greatest threat in the U.S., not only because of its eruption potential, but due to its massive ice cover. Even a small eruption could unleash deadly lahars, fast-moving volcanic mudflows, that could race down valleys toward populated areas, giving residents less than an hour to escape. Over 80,000 people could be in harm's way. Mount Hood, just 50 miles from Portland, and Mount Shasta, one of the largest volcanoes in the chain, also pose serious risks to nearby communities and infrastructure. A moderate eruption could cripple transport routes, contaminate water supplies, and blanket cities in ash. Meanwhile, volcanoes like Glacier Peak, Mount Baker, and the Three Sisters have all shown signs of unrest. The immediate dangers include ashfall, lahars, and pyroclastic flows. But long-term impacts could ripple through the economy, agriculture, and energy systems, causing damage worth tens of billions. The timing may be uncertain, but the science is clear. The Cascades are active, volatile, and capable of awakening with little warning. Scientific preparedness and response. Fortunately, the U.S. has one of the world's most advanced volcanic monitoring systems. The Cascades Volcano Observatory in Vancouver, Washington, serves as the central hub for real-time monitoring and response. A network of sensors, GPS stations, gas analyzers, and satellites constantly tracks tremors, ground shifts, and emissions, allowing scientists to detect the earliest signs of unrest. Public preparedness has also improved. High-risk areas now conduct regular evacuation drills, and hazard maps are widely shared. However, funding gaps still leave some remote areas under-monitored. Emerging tools like artificial intelligence and high-resolution satellites are improving early warning systems. But predicting eruptions remains an uncertain science. Ultimately, rapid communication and preparedness are what stand between warning and disaster. The unpredictable future. The Cascade volcanoes are not fading away. They are very much alive, each with its own personality and eruptive history. For now, things appear stable, but the past tells us that peace in this region never lasts forever. As climate change accelerates, melting glaciers could destabilize volcanic slopes, heightening the risk of landslides and lahars. Urban growth is expanding into hazard zones, placing even more lives at risk. Scientists can monitor and warn, but preparation depends on communities, governments, and collective will. We understand these volcanoes. We know what they are capable of. The question is, when the ground begins to tremble again, will we act in time? Share your thoughts below, and thank you for watching. See you in the next video.